Hello, my friends. You may have thought that you just clicked on any old gardening video, but what if I told you I had something more to share? First off, let me explain what's in store for you. I will be sharing about how I like to group my plants in containers. For instance, in this large pot, I'm going to put basil, parsley, and cilantro. These plants do well in partial shade. Next to this container is a strawberry plant that I'm going to be planting into a strawberry pot. That is the one with the holes on the side of the pot. If you're new here, hi, my name's Nissa, but if you're a returning viewer, you would know that this is actually not my house. My kids and I are staying with my in-laws for the foreseeable future because my husband is renovating our bathroom at home. Leading up to this bathroom remodel, it feels like we have been met with a lot of spiritual warfare. My husband and I have 3 kids, and my father lives with us, so we are a family of 6. As our family has grown, we have also started to outgrow our home. When we bought our home, it was a total fixer-upper. We had to take down all of the walls and rip up all the paneling, put new electric and heat in. And last year we remodeled our kitchen, and now the last thing we have to do in this house is the bathroom. My husband and I moved into the house when we were both 21, and 3 days after we moved in, my first son was born. At the time, we were completely renovating the second and third floor and only living on the first floor. Our living room was our bedroom. While I was so grateful to be a homeowner and to have a family, I felt like the Lord taught me a lot of patience during that time. And as I reflect back on my life, I can now see how much growth has taken place. In the middle of those seasons, it felt so hard, like I had to do a lot of waiting and like my life, for whatever reason, was harder than everyone else's around me. But now I look back and I can see that it taught me how to trust God. A verse that constantly now goes over in my mind is Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. And up until this point in life, I have never had a reason not to believe those words. God has always gotten me through really tough seasons, even when I was diagnosed with cancer at 16. And I've realized the importance of just trusting Him through all of those hardships, that He is preparing me for something else. While my husband and I are now living separately, I can see that the Lord is doing something else in my life to grow me. And I will say these growing pains are hard. I'm extremely grateful for my family that is willing to take me and my kids in, and for my husband that is in construction and understands how to do these home projects. However, I can't help but still wonder why. It was never on our radar to have 3 under 3. It was never on our radar to buy a house that needed so much work. But again, our plans are different from the Lord's. I really love my life now and the person that I'm becoming, but without those hardships, I don't know what I would be like. And it now feels like my husband and I are walking through that season again, where the weeds are getting pulled out and new growth is about to take place. That being said, I would like to share with you the plants that I'm putting in this container. My mother-in-law does this grouping every single year, and they always turn out so beautifully. The tall plant in the back is called a calla lily, the leafy red plant is called a coleus, and the white flower plant is called a begonia. Like I said, these plants do really well together in a container. They all have different heights and just really add a lot of textural interest into a pot. They do well in full sun or partial shade. I'm honestly so grateful my mother-in-law let me do all of her planting for her this year, because I was having a really tough day and needed to just spend some time outside. And let me tell you, after taking a couple of hours to do all of this gardening and weeding, I felt so relaxed afterwards. She also sadly hurt her knee recently, so it was hard for her to even get a lot of the weeding done this year anyway. I'm so grateful that there was something I could do to help her while we were staying here, because I do feel like we can be a huge inconvenience, especially with having 3 young kids. They come with a lot of toys and a lot of things, and they aren't the best at picking up at this age. In this flower pot on the other side of the bench, I am just doing the same 3 pairs, but they are in different colors. My kids right now are with my mother-in-law behind me, planting a lavender plant into one of her pots. She likes to plant her lavender and her rosemary each in an individual pot because they will come back every single year and can get quite large. Now I'm just going ahead and planting a tomato plant into this pot. I do hope that this plant gets so many tomatoes because my mother-in-law makes the best tomato sauce. She's even won an award for it. The last grouping that I'm going to show you in this video is thyme and oregano. They need full sun and they both grow very well together in a pot. If you can, I highly recommend planting things like oregano and mint into containers. They are a creeping plant and will take over if you put them into the ground. I planted oregano into the ground the first year I ever did a garden, and it took up so much of my garden bed. It is supposed to keep pests off of your vegetable plants, however, I did not notice a difference the year I planted it in the ground. If you've never done a garden before, I highly recommend starting with herbs. They add so much flavor to your food and are so medicinal and good for you. The last thing my mother-in-law asked me to do is just to sprinkle some of this plant food over her pots. Moving on to the side of my mother-in-law's house, I'm just going to go ahead and do a ton of weeding for her. There's so much thistle growing up around all of her flowers and her hostas that needs to come out so that way it looks nice and fresh for the summer. One of my favorite things to look at when looking at homes is the landscaping. I love getting inspiration on different ways that you can just plant things around your house and along the side of your house and just in the space that you have. I just feel like perennials are a great way to make a space beautiful with very little effort. Like, once I have all of this thistle out of this hosta, I think it just looks so pretty. Also, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but hostas are container friendly. I actually have some in some containers down at my camper. We have a camper at the Jersey Shore, if you were wondering, but my mother-in-law gave me a couple of pieces from her hostas and we transplanted them into a pot and they have been thriving. Those were all the weeds I pulled from the front yard and now I'm moving on to the backyard. Once I had all of these weeds pulled, it was a totally transformed space. I know this video is much shorter than the normal videos that I put out, but right now it just seems like life is a little bit harder than it normally is because I am picking up a lot more of the parenting responsibilities with my husband doing all of his normal work and then working on the bathroom. While it is just for a season, it is easier right now for me to be posting more shorts. You can either find them here on YouTube or you can find me on Instagram, and the link will be down in the description. If you made it this far, I would just like to say thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you found some encouragement here, and consider liking and subscribing. Again, stay tuned to the very end of this video to see the full transformation of this side yard. It helps my channel out so much when you watch my full video. Thank you again, and God bless.